Hello. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ann Bryant. I'm a proud member of the National Women's Sailing Association, and I'm also an admin for a group called Women Who Sail, a vetted group of women only, and we welcome you over there, and we also welcome you to join National Women's Sailing Association if you're joining us and you're not a member yet. I'm also a host of a podcast called The Water Society. I do a lot of other boat things as well. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is a safety move and it's a type of knot. It's a wise course of action. It's a way to tame a boat back to efficiency in a blow. But of course, it's also defined as a beautiful, biologically diverse and threatened biome, a thing to be avoided at all costs when it comes to anchors and keels. We have three speakers tonight, three storytellers, three captains, three strong women who are telling stories on the theme of reef. The first is going to be Barbara Ross, and the second, Marie Rogers, and third is Amy Alton. Let's start out with Barbara Ross. She has her 100-ton license, and she sailed and lived aboard boats for over 40 years. She's currently in San Pedro, California on her Cal 39, living aboard. And she's a mentor and a teacher who has owned a sailing school, has delivered countless yachts, has organized award-winning sailing events. She's taught boat safety and maintenance, and she was a yacht broker. And she still loves helping people find their perfect boat and then teaching them how to use it. Barbara's taking us to Hawaii in her story, demonstrating reef as a verb.
Hello, everybody. My name is Barb Ross, or Captain Barbie to some. I love boats and boating and the ocean, and is why I have been living aboard boats for most of 40 years. I love to share my experience and teach sailing and boat handling, safety and cruising. When I saw the title of this event, the very first thing when I thought of reef was, I thought, yes, you should reef, right? So my story is about my first passage to Hawaii, which was in 1976. I met my husband the year before, who lived on a 35-foot sloop. And he told me his dream was to sail to Hawaii. And I said, sounds good. So we planned for a year and then sailed away. The passage from Los Angeles was long and boring, having very light winds, with an occasional squall that kind of dotted the daily routine with some excitement. We arrived at Hilo and stayed there for a couple of weeks. Our goal was to get to the Kona side of the island. And what that means is going around to the opposite side, looking at the longer southern route or the northern route, which is through the channel called the Alinui Haha. We decided after listening to the marine weather and the forecast, we will be running downwind, so not a problem. And it also said there will be small craft warnings, also not a problem. We've sailed in small craft warnings. So we decided to take the route of the Alinui Haha. The red arrow on this picture shows you just kind of basically the route that we took. We were in the trade winds, so the winds would have been behind us. This sounded like a no-brainer. Off we go through the northern route. We will round Upolu Point at midnight. We decided not to put a reef in the main, but to put the main fully up and keep the jib furled while motor sailing for a few hours, waiting for the small craft winds to appear. We were hit with the predicted winds about 1800, and it was gusty and waves were building. The winds became stabilized and constant about 2 hours later. And they were sustained at 50 knots. The large seas that we had been surfing were now blown flat, and the white spray and foam were now covering us. I mean, we were just solid foam. It was interesting that the waves didn't build. The waves actually flattened. Ali Nui Haha, we discovered in Hawaiian, means great billowing winds. And small craft warnings for the channels are much higher than around other parts of the islands or what we have experienced on the mainland. So here you see the photos. So those are the waves before 50 knots on your left, and on your right, this is not a picture of the seas that we had, because in 1976 there was no e-photos. But this is sort of what they looked like after the wind got up to 50 knots and it just blew it flat. I'd never seen that happen before. But there's no way, you know, there was nothing we could do at this point. Our main was pressed against the spreaders. There was no way we could turn the boat around to reduce sail. The furled jib was swinging back and forth due to the main being pressed forward because we had the full main up. For us in the cockpit, we were wearing our snorkel masks because we couldn't see. And the spray was stinging our eyes and face. We experienced this until we rounded the point and were in the protection of the island. The winds dropped to about 30 knots and then continued to drop until we had light air. When we arrived in Kona, we didn't suffer any damage to the boat, just physical discomfort. And once we arrived at Kona, I thought, this is the Hawaii I was expecting. And that's a Hilton that has Mai Tais, and that's where I'm gonna go. And the lesson learned here is what I really took away from a lesson in sailing the Hawaiian waters is this is advanced sailing. The Hawaiian waters and the weather, you have to take them seriously. Now and forever, my go-to belief is that if you think you should reef, it's already too late.
That was really fantastic, Barb. Thank you for that. I've always wondered about Hawaii because when I was there, there weren't even really any harbors. I haven't sailed there, but I've been there before, and oh my gosh, I had assumed that it was just wide open all the time. Whatever you saw on the grid charts was exactly what you got.
Exactly.
Thank you very, very much.